Aloha.
My name is Kristara Lakshmi-Detten,
And I'm Michael Ditton.
and we are Infinite,
Activation.
coming to you from,
Sunny SoCal, San Diego.
and we welcome you to today's topic, which is Beginner's Guide to Synchronicity.
Yeah, say that one if you can.
Yay. So first, I would like to explain what, for example, Wikipedia says about it. And then we will also look at it from one other angle. And then we will come with a couple of stories from our lives. And then we will give you the homework. And then you can practice it too. How about that?
I'm on board. I'm synchronized with you.
Thank you. Very cool. Yeah. Well, so synchronicity as a term.
Uh-oh, she's got the giggles.
Yay. So synchronicity as a term was actually one of the first times kind of more publicly used by Jung.
Don't look at me. By Jung.
Yeah, by Jung,
Okay.
Psychologist Jung. So the approach was that synchronicity are events which are meaningful coincidences. They are occurring with no causal relationship, yet seem to be meaningfully related. So it's kind of a really messy definition.
Yeah.
So I really liked how it kind of became more clear when you try to kind of see it through coincidences and synchronicity, like what's the difference? So coincidences is as a chance of luck, and synchronicity, deeper intelligence at work. And then you put these two together, and then
it's a lucky coincidence.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's simple, you know. So what do you think the way we were meeting in Mexico, was that lucky synchronicity?
Yeah. I think there's other words for it as well, fate, destiny, whatever, but I think that I don't think necessarily our meeting was, but when we met, we became more synchronized because we were both going through some things, and we were able to go through and support each other through that process, and we kind of synced up in that support. I don't know that finding each other was that synchronicity. Maybe it is, but
I see it like, there was a chain of events which was actually happening to you and me separately, which were actually guiding us into the same spot. So
okay, so we weren't synced, and then we met and became synced. Yes. Is that what you're saying?
Kind of.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll go with that.
Yeah.
Just so that we're
in sync. What's up with you today?
You're the one with the giggles.
Okay. So and oftentimes when people start to figure out the synchronicity thing, they are really puzzled, like so how can you say things are in sync, and what do you even call it? Like, if I walk on a street, I think of a friend, and then that friend just starts to walk towards me. Is that synchronicity, luck, or coincidence, or everything?
It could be all the above.
Yeah. Or the other way, your friend is thinking about you, and then you pop up. So kind of similar thing.
Mm-hmm.
Or you're thinking about going to Hawaii, and then suddenly you start to see everything about Hawaii. A car goes by and you see a sticker from Hawaii, and then someone has an advertisement about Hawaii, and then you just go to a eating place and they have a Hawaiian pizza. It starts to kind of like the invisible world starts to talk to you.
Yeah, so there's a trigger that creates that synchronicity.
Yeah. And
coincidence or not.
Yeah, and one of the ways to activate this is actually to start to ask questions. So if you like, oh, I really would like to go to Hawaii, should I go now? then you can ask like, okay, is now the right time? And then the outside world will start to give you information through different resources and people and coincidences.
And just so you know, it's always the right time to go to Hawaii.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's just how many excuses you will find, right?
Yeah,
what choices you make,
yeah.
Right?
Yeah, sometimes we have to plan it for a different time, but
yeah,
yeah,
it's a good one. So, and also sometimes it's the inner voice tells you have to go someplace, and you feel very strongly that you have to go there, and you may not even know why. And then you go, and then something happens which leads you to the next thing, Or like we met, the first time you saw me, you actually just saw me, you noticed the
I felt your
energy.
presence.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we didn't actually meet.
Nope, not until
and
later.
Then the second time we went the same space,
Yeah.
then you like, oh my God, this is the same.
Yep, met you face to face and felt that same presence, and then
Yeah.
I was able to put 2 and 2 together.
So there are so many different ways to work with this. I also started to think about it, as we call ourselves transformation navigators. So using the sailors terminology, I also think it's more like kind of, instead of just going, strong-headed, facing the storm, you actually start to kind of read the nature and read the signs and figure out the way how you can flow with it in sync.
Yeah.
So kind of maybe tacking or going, downwind and changing your destinations a little bit. So maybe you go
adjusting.
Yeah. So you go maybe even to another destination first, and then you kind of like adjust it like that. So, and oftentimes also when people are very like rationally minded, they like can't even think like that, and that's actually what makes their lives very much harder and also drier, because then you don't have so much adventure.
It's like putting blinders on,
Yeah.
and you don't get to see everything else that's outside of the blinders.
So when I think back to my life, it has been a crazy many synchronistic events, like one thing leading to another. And it's actually very exciting when you like kind of even think back of the South Africa one, when everyone was talking about Daniela Lee, the angel lady. So I was like, who the heck is this lady, And then I started to get guidance to get to her. One person was talking about her, and then I got the business card, and then one thing after the other, and then came out that she actually lived almost in the same area where I was, so I could actually walk to her home.
Yeah.
So it can be like that as well, kind of sync.
Certainly can.
So do you have some other examples from your life about synchronicity? Comes to mind?
Well, synchronicity could be also explained as many other things as we were just talking about. Even like a divining fork in the road. You're presented with this fork in the road. Do I go left? Do I go right? And I'm not certain that there's a perfect answer for it, but whatever you choose, you end up getting in sync with. So, one of the examples I use is when I was still in real estate and had my other companies, one of the things I did for fun was I was doing a lot of, acting work and commercial audition workshops and improv and things of that nature. And at the defining fork, I was thinking, okay, I had actually made an offer on a property down in Malibu and was thinking about moving to Malibu so I could be closer to being in the entertainment industry. And, that divine intervention from, the universe got involved. And when that happened, it made me aware of something that I didn't want to deal with that property. And another thing came about at a property somewhere else, back up in Ojai Valley. And that defining moment in that crossroads and going one direction versus the other, all of a sudden things started syncing up with that direction. So I feel confident had I stuck with the house and pursued that, it would have synced up with that, right or wrong. But that synchronicity is something that, you know, plays in pretty much everything you do.
Mm-hmm. So that's when it comes to that deeper intelligence at work.
Mm-hmm.
And then we can actually, I think, become more synchronistic when we are actually aligning ourselves with it. So oftentimes also when I start maybe with the project, or I work hard on something and then it actually doesn't go the way I was thinking, it's still, you know, experience, but it's, you know, the moment where the divine intervention usually comes in and says, hey, Crystal, actually, this is the next step, or this is the next thing you have to focus on. And then you realize that, okay, this was all actually a preparation for that next step.
Absolutely.
And like even now, I've been doing these different master classes, which I think is, you know, sprinkling a little bit of extra knowledge about next possibilities and things which may, you know, pop up in my reality. So it's really exciting and amazing to see how this deeper intelligence works.
Mm-hmm.
And then I also believe that when you believe in it to work for you and with you, it actually starts to support you more, and your life gets and also becomes easier.
Yes, but you also have to take in consideration it's not always without some form of failure, because that's also part of the learning as well. So as we're going along and we experience all these things, some things are going to work great, some things are going to work okay, some things aren't going to work so good at all, but you learn from those, you adjust, and you move forward.
Yeah.
And that's a form of synchronicity as well.
Yeah. Like I just yesterday finished one of my Facebook lives, and then I understood, like, oh my God, I've been doing this energy work for like 25 years.
Mm-hmm.
And the first thing I was studying was actually, you know, secretary and business administration work.
Mm-hmm.
I had no idea, you know, that I'm going to do the next most of those years energy work.
Mm-hmm.
But business administration and secretary work has come in handy in every business and every transaction and everything, all the studies, everything I've done. So it has been kind of the ground foundation. So the divine intervention or bigger intelligence at work really knew that I really needed that foundation.
Yep. And you passed with flying colors when it came to taking notes and a lot of the other things. The filing part, I don't think you got an A on, but.
Which one?
Filing.
Yeah. I actually.
You have a unique filing system.
I actually, that time, I was actually one of the best in the class.
Oh, then you've forgotten those skills.
Yeah. But I also, when I started to work, the first job I got in the confectionery factory, I was actually rearranging their whole thing because theirs was a mess.
Mm.
So, and I think I really need a proper filing cabinet.
Yes, really there's help. Always that.
Yeah, but it's also.
We're 99% moved in. We're not 100% moved in.
Yeah. So sometimes it's also, you know,
you improvise.
Part of being a woman. You need a little chaos. You know?
Yeah. The filing is the record spread out on the spare bed.
Yeah.
Whatever works.
It's an overview. So.
Yeah.
Okay. We
sidetracked.
Yeah, we are not. We are not perfect, but
no, by far.
That's fine.
Yeah. By far.
So
never claimed to be.
Today's tasks to activate your synchronicity more. The number one is to ask questions. So
Absolutely.
Why is asking questions important?
Well, you'll never know. One, you want to put it out there in the universe, but two, you'll never know if you don't ask.
Yeah. So how to ask questions, you can actually experiment yourself because it's your life, it's your dreams and whatever you want to experience. So you just start to experiment with that, and then as you go along, you can, you know, work with the question, and the universe will start, and your life will start to throw you different things and possibilities, and then you start to figure it out.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty much. So secondly, follow messages which you get, it may be a bumper sticker on the car in front of you, it may be advertisement, it may be a bus driving by or a train, or someone, standing next to you with a backpack which has like, some sign or something from something you are actually really interested about, it can come in many forms.
And a lot of times they're there and you don't see them. And that's kind of also when you say, you were thinking about a friend and all of a sudden your friend is there. If you think about Hawaii, all of a sudden you start to see these Hawaiian signs around there. Sometimes you can actually see them before you think about them.
Yeah, it's pretty magic.
Yeah.
So the third one is to start to notice the numbers and number combinations. So each one of us actually has certain numbers which actually at times may pop up like more regularly, or are your lucky numbers, or are the combinations which kind of go along with you.
12.
Yeah, that's probably yours. So mine for many years was 4 and 1. I lived in like, I would say like 90% of the places where I lived was connected to 4 and 1. And the combinations of 4 and 1, and then 8 and 7, and then you may start to see 2 7s, 2 8s. In Estonia, it's really cool. You can have number plates with like 3 numbers, the same numbers. If you're interested, you can look up, angel numbers. It's another way to kind of figure out what they mean. But it's just really cool to start to see it. I have also developed something I call new time numerology. It's a way to also explain what the numbers tell. So it's really cool to see, like even when we fly somewhere, I always look at the row number and the seat number. And then that's actually can also tell you the energy of the trip you are going to take, how this spins out, how things go, and so on. So it's really cool with numbers. So what's your lucky number?
Well, 3 and 4, 34 is my lucky number, but there's other numbers that come into play quite a bit, like 129. I've also had 219. So there's numbers that mean a lot to me, but 34 has always been kind of my main number.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
So, and then the last one is actually to really turn on your inner GPS, which is talking to your inner woman and your intuition. And when you do that, it actually really feels like you're on a sailboat and your compass is in the right place and you know where you're going. And the guidance is really aligned with, where you're going and what's going on with the sails and your direction and everything.
And that's important.
And you don't have to fight because you are really following, what the guidance is saying. And this is, I see it now over and over again, how people actually so many times they just override it or don't listen or don't act. And it's just, you make your own life harder. So it's
I've been known to do that.
Really good, tool, which is inside of us and is put in there so that we could have an easy life.
Or easier.
Yeah, and that can also be actually extra hard for men. Because sometimes it's like,
or bullheaded.
Yeah,
is that what you're trying to say?
Bullheaded, but also sometimes,
ego's getting away.
Yeah, and also the society projects that men, they should just go, they should just do things and maybe not,
shoot first, ask questions later.
Yeah, just like kind of the old style. But now I think we are getting into a new time, so it's more balanced and holistic in that way. So and I'm very, very proud that I am with a new time navigator like you, so that we can check into like, okay, what's your compass saying, what's mine, and then we kind of figure it out, like what's the golden middle road.
Yeah, and even though they're not always identical, they're normally pointing in the same direction.
Yeah, so that's making it easier.
Yeah.
So we hope that this was inspiring and gave you some thoughts how to think about it, and maybe also how to change your life accordingly. And please, these will be your task, what you can do to change it in your life as well. Please watch it. We'll put it together into the blog, do the task, share it, like it, become our subscriber.
We love it.
Yep. And next week, we will have a topic which will be also very exciting. And this is how to find a job you love.
So, I love my job.
Yeah. So that's something I hear even today. There was Estonian lady kind of saying, you know, it's so hard. I just lost my job. And like, you know, I'm not even thinking how to find a job which I love. I just want to get the job, so to survive.
Yeah, and that's natural thinking.
Yeah, it's because you get into that survival mode. But if you would really take that extra time and effort to really, you know, figure out what that job is, what you love, then everything will be so much easier, and you will be having so much more fun, and everything will also come easier.
Yeah.
So, and we would like to have easier life.
Absolutely.
And we would like to wish you easier life as
Absolutely.
well. So, okay, so thank you very much, and all the best, and see you soon.
Mahalo.
Mahalo.